Hello everyone, and welcome to the lecture on downloading files from the web with the requests module. So the requests module lets you download files from the web without having to worry about network errors or connection problems. Okay, requests module. The requests module doesn't come with Python, so we will have to install it by running pip install requests. If you are using Windows, go to your command prompt, and for Mac or Linux users, open up your terminal and type pip space install space requests and press enter. That will install the requests module. Okay, let's start by importing our request module. And to download a file, we need to call the requests.get method and pass a string of URL of the file you want to download. So we need to call the get method requests, that's my module, that get, and then we pass in the URL. Let's say I have this file to download and it's found in this URL. So I'll copy the URL, Command C or Control C, paste it here. So you pass it just like so. This get function returns a response object and we will store it in a variable. Let's call it res. So I'll store the result in a variable called res. Okay, and we can tell if the request succeeded or not by using the status code attribute of the response object. So we can simply call res.status code, status underscore code. Okay, let's run it. So we got 200. 200 status code means everything was good. If something went wrong, you'll get a number different than 200. You might be familiar with the 404 web not found error, right? But if everything was good, you get a 200 status code. So this downloaded web page is stored in a string in the response object's text variable. Okay, so I can know the length of my string that I downloaded by using the length function and then call the text method or the text variable on my response object. So length of my object res dot text variable. So this is the length of my downloaded web page. Okay, and if I want to print out the first few characters, we can use the following. I can say print my response object dot text, and then let's say up to, let's say, the first 50 characters, and run it. So these are the first 50 characters, and if I make it, let's say 130, so this is what it looks like. Okay, similarly I can say, let's say 300, and then it will print it out. Good. Another way to check for the success of my download is by calling the res for status method. So I can say res underscore for underscore status. Run that. If the download is fine, nothing will happen when you run this. So if there is no error, nothing will happen. So this is good. Let me just make up some URL and show you what it will look like if there is a bad response. Okay, I will copy this, Command C, and then paste it here, Command V. So instead of this, let me just type in random character. So this doesn't exist. Okay, and then I'll save this in an object called bad response. Okay, and then I'll call for the raise for status method on my bad response object. So bad response, bad res dot raise for status, and run it. You see here, I got an error, right? I got a 404 URL not found error. You see how important it is to use the raise for status method? That's because you want your program to stop as soon as some unexpected error occurs. So far we have downloaded the file from a given URL. Now we can save the web page to a file on our hard drive by using the open function. But we must open the file by passing the write binary mode, okay? The WB mode as the second argument. This is just to maintain the Unicode of the text. You don't have to worry about the write binary mode. It's just for maintaining the Unicode of the text, okay? Let's go ahead and save the web page on our hard drive. Okay. So for that we'll use the open method. So open, and then let's give it a file name. I'll just name it webfile.txt, and as I mentioned, I will pass the write binary mode as a second argument, and then I'll store this result in an object. Let me call it web file. Okay, now to write the web page to a file, we can use the for loop with the ether content method. Okay, let me write it down, ether content method. So the ether content method will return chunks of the content in each iteration of the loop, and we can also specify how many bytes each chunk will contain. Let's see what I mean by that. So this open method will create a file if it doesn't exist, and it's in write binary mode. Then we can say for chunk in my response object that ether content, and then I'll pass in the byte number to write. Let's say 30,000 bytes. Okay, and then web file that write, and then I'll pass in chunk. Okay, so this ether content method will return chunks of the content in each for loop iteration, and then here we specified how many bytes each chunk will contain. Okay, so once we have that, we can close our file by using the close function. So webfile.close, and this will close our file, and this part will create a text file in your current directory. So web file.txt will be created. My current directory is here. Okay, so here at the very bottom I see that a web file text document is created. To recap, the requests module lets us download files from the web without having to worry about any kind of issues. And we saw that to download a file we call the request.get method and pass the URL. Then we can tell if the request was successful or not by this status code. Status code of 200 means success. Any number besides 200 is not success. Then we can find the length of our downloaded web page by calling the length function. And then we saw how we can raise for status, right? That's because we want our program to stop as soon as some unexpected error occurs. After that, we saved our web page to a file on our hard drive, and then we wrote into that file. Okay, thank you everyone, and I'll see you at the next lecture.